Southern culture, or something darker? Give it to me straight. Early apologies for the essay. I'm writing this in hopes to find some clarity and new perspective, as this topic has caused a good bit of confusion and conflict in my relationship over the years. I've been with my husband since high school, about 12 years now. He comes from a very conservative-minded and religious family, and I come from a more progressive family. We are both from a small to medium-sized town in Mississippi. Some family background info. My husband's mother is married to the same man and has 4 sons, including my husband, but it's been clear from the start my husband is possibly her golden child, or at least the one she's most focused on. It's confusing because she has oscillated between absolute starry-eyedness with him, like he's the perfect child/man, to very critical and withholding of affection, and back and forth. All of the boys essentially walk the straight line, have the same faith as the mother besides my husband, though as a kid he was very obedient, went to church, etc., and are considered traditionally successful adults. These things matter greatly to their parents, and from the outside it would seem like they've hit the family jackpot. They are sometimes regarded as the perfect family from other like-minded people in MS and care deeply about maintaining that appearance. Yet a few others inside of the situation have seen the meltdowns I'll describe below. As far as the siblings go, all of the sons see the parents very often, with my husband seeing them the least because of long distance and because of so much tension and many blow-ups in the past. My husband is definitely the more alternative out of the group and the more introverted, but very few people would consider him alternative in any form besides his family. He's a pretty middle ground guy in many ways. The fixation on my husband is most strange to me, because she has 3 other sons and a husband that give her tons of attention, and because he seems to be the least like-minded as her out of the family. This situation somehow would seem a little less odd if he was an only child to me. I've always felt like if it was a situation where she was widowed with 1 child, the whole of it would make more sense to me, and I could empathize better. Some hopefully relevant details. She has mother and son customized postage stamps of her and his name together, which she's had for years and recently used on a card addressed to me. Keeps a photo of only him on her bedside table, and has had many fits in the past toward my husband when she doesn't get her way about something, especially if it involves the theme of him choosing me or my family, or him not partaking in some academic ceremony in the way she would want. Crying, passive aggression, withholding affection, and using his guilt and overthinking nature as a weapon, it seems. I really do feel like any mother would be incredibly lucky to have a caring, well-grounded son like him. In the few milder frustrations I have with him as a husband, I can say wholeheartedly he's a great and mostly easy son. She's had some pretty serious meltdowns over things like him getting a haircut she didn't approve of when he was college-aged or older, or over him not including her as his inspiration in school/professional papers. I'm only including a few examples because the list is long and I don't want to be too specific on here. She's made countless passive-aggressive comments about me through the years and my body/makeup, essentially slut-shaming me when I was a young teen, even though I hadn't had any Sewell experience and still have only been with her son. It did hurt back then and made me feel kind of gross about myself when I didn't understand my body yet, but looking back, I was very developed by 14 and dressed like what some Southerners might consider a little harlot for sure, haha. I guess I was pushing back on the oppressive conservative culture of where I grew up, and I was in a way excited by the strange new body I found myself in. A lot of the specifics in the comments or different meltdowns regarding this seem to have faded, or maybe I'm just too exhausted to dig them up right now. His mother is definitely one of the most passive and meek-seeming people I've ever met, which makes the situation more confusing and hard to process. She doesn't communicate her emotions up front in a clear way at all. Sometimes she seems like an innocent, unaware child. Sometimes she seems like she's going to burst at the seams with a serious judgmental anger towards anyone different from her. Maybe strangest of all to me in this situation is the dad's role in the dynamic. He has always been 100% in support of the mother in her fits and highly emotional about it all. While the mom's fits were often more passively expressed to my husband, like crying in her room and getting others to call him and let him know, the dad is a lot more direct and unable to conceal his emotions. He's had public breakdowns, crying to other family members, and whatever party guest would listen that he knows a man can only love one woman, in reference to me and his mother, as if it's a competition between who he loves more. Phrases like he's breaking his mama's heart over pretty casual spilt milk incidents where he seems to be choosing others over her. One of the first incidents I remember in high school is that it was Valentine's Day, and as we were making dinner plans, the dad made an uproar about the sons needing to take their mother out for Valentine's Day instead. The best way to describe the feeling I felt then, and that I have felt so many times after, is bewilderment. There are more extreme examples, but they are detailed, and I should probably leave them out here. Another possibly relevant detail is that they have always seemed to be extremely envious of my parents as a whole. On one hand, this makes sense because we have naturally spent more time with my family throughout the years, as it's been a more peaceful, supportive dynamic and has been a lot easier and a lot less drama, but also odd considering my parents have treated my husband with love and respect from the start while feeling zero possessiveness of him or his time and deeply encouraging his relationship with his own family however they can. I do think that's truly unbiased. When a family blow-up has happened, my parents' response to me was always just be the bigger person. This is hard enough on him, so try and make it easier however you can. I will say our families could not be more opposite in general, and I'm also extremely different from his mother, so there has been very little natural connection from the start. It's obvious she would have preferred him end up with a girl more like herself, and I guess that makes sense when I look back now. The brothers have ganged up in the past and taken a similar approach to the dad, but are nowadays a little less extreme. With his brothers, it's mostly been a weird mix between we are all so tired of hearing about the golden boy, my husband, and calling him angrily when the parents are in shambles over some small or moderate thing to tell him he needs to immediately fix things by soothing whatever meltdown is happening with the mom or dad. That the parents are driving off of the road, they are so upset, etc. It's a code red type energy when the smallest perceived family slight happens. My husband has definitely had a strong people-pleasing type energy for most of his life, and has only recently started to draw boundaries. Finally, to give a bit more info about our part in things, there are definitely some major value differences, personality differences, religious and political leanings, etc. We no doubt have naturally drifted over the years from all of the relentless drama. I will say in the last few years they have acted much nicer and less chaotic towards us, possibly in part because they are welcoming grandchildren from the other siblings. Possibly in part because my husband has done the work to become more upfront with them and draw some boundaries when they cross a line. But I always feel a sense of sadness, confusion, and mild guilt when they are really trying, which feels weird, and I'm trying to make sense of that. There has been some mild recent conflict, and there is a strong sense that something will always be festering below until it erupts again, so it makes me a little scared to make progress in a way. I can absolutely be unfair in arguments with my husband when mild things like passive-aggressive comments or actions come up because I feel like another storm is always around the corner with them and haven't been able to let my guard down and trust real peace can be maintained knowing our history. Boundaries have definitely been set, but I just want to make sure I am processing things fairly as I likely have my own biases. Mostly, I just want to untangle and understand things a bit better so that I can make peace with it and have better tools to handle the drama when it does arise. I want my husband and I to have peace in our relationship and understanding about it as his parents age, etc., so there's no major guilt or turning against each other down the road. It's deeply stressful to my husband as he's very conflict-averse and guilt-heavy and stressful to me because we are definitely the others in the family, and I fear how another blowout could harm my husband and I's relationship or create a very loud break entirely in the family. I don't want to be unfair and to be looking at it through my own distorted lens because of the history. Sorry for the rambling, just tough to fit 12 years into one post. Thanks for reading, and I appreciate any genuine feedback.